Hello, Islanders. Boom, ba bum. Islanders does feel a little quiet. Oh, well, that's... It's probably why. Oh, yeah, because the music gets mind-flooding for me. We can have it there. I like the ambiance. Okie dokie! Islanders. This will probably just be about an hour, you know? I wasn't expecting to do anything too crazy today or go on for too long. You know... What the fuck is that sound? Oh, God. So... yeah, I think I'm right. The neighbor upstairs seems to have been uninstalling carpet, and if that is what I think it is, they may now be installing new carpet, which I would really prefer if they didn't. But I mean, you gotta do it during the day, right? So it isn't that insensitive to do it. But they started it like... Oh, God. Oh, yeah, that's gonna fucking mind flood the hell out of me. They started at like 9 in the morning today. Bwam, bwam, bwam. Why are you like this? I don't, to me, as a considerate neighbor, I would have been like, hey, just so you know, we're gonna be doing this ahead of time, right? Like, you might hear some stuff. Don't worry about it. Instead of like me hearing people ripping shit off the floor. I didn't know what it was at first, but I've torn up carpet before. And I imagine that's what's going on. It may not be. Maybe something completely different. Oh well. That's fine. I get a lot of satisfaction now to manual labor like that. Not enough that I'd want to do it all the time, but that it's very rewarding. Sometimes we start with the city. I don't know why I'm overthinking this. It's very hard to fuck up on the first island, which is exactly what you would say prior to fucking up on the first island. Why are you like this? Why? Why, God? What? Oh my sweet Christ, that's gonna kill me. Yeah, I don't know. Besides that, which is just like, I don't know, really humorous sound. I've been thinking a lot about the idea of charity and gift giving and like mutual aid. Particularly, I've been repeatedly drawn to thinking about just how fucking selfish people with a lot of capital are. Like, I know in circles that I run in, or folks that I know, quite a few people who are struggling with making ends meet, paying bills, paying rent, paying whatever. And the folks who tend to end up helping them out are other people who don't make a lot of money or are living month to month and, you know, really can't afford to be helping each other, but are unwilling to not help one another, which, you know, is kind of beautiful and hope-inspiring and, you know, redeeming quality for our species. But it's also, like, kind of damning at the same time, thinking about, like, even if you're only making, like, you know, 100 grand a year, which is exceptional, I think that puts you in the top... Oh, God, I should know this. 100 grand puts you in the top 80%, 90% of income? Let's see, income... No, wages. They're fucking sawing shit. Who knows? Yeah, that puts you in the top percent of Americans. Actually, 97K annually puts you in the top 10% of Americans. I can't imagine being even in the top percent and not realizing that half of my income could be used on keeping people alive, or like you can effectively keep a whole fucking other family going with your income at that point. That's insane to me. And yet, a lot of people who do make that kind of money just invest it, keep it, and invest it, and build that portfolio, and don't help other people, not meaningfully. Or they donate through charities or other organizations, nonprofits. That way they can get a tax deductible, and they can feel like that money isn't just going to random people, it's going into good hands. But the truth of the matter is, nonprofit industry is constructed upon a self-sustaining model. Like if you solve this societal ill, then you don't have a job anymore. So instead, it's a very treat the symptom, don't cure it kind of situation. Okay, what's sending me is upstairs has been quiet for like... They were loud around 10 in the morning. 9 and 10 in the morning, and then I haven't heard a fucking thing for the last 4 hours. And now, at almost 4 p.m., now they're getting back to work. What is your day like? What is... Maybe they went out to, like, get stuff? Made a day out of it? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. I imagine it's not actually my neighbor. I imagine they moved out, and I assume that it's the contractors hired on by our building management. Building management, that's funny, Alex. By the retail, nope. What is it? What's the word? What's the fucking word I want here? Landlord conglomerate, basically, that the people who own my building are a part of. The property management group. There we go, property management group. Yeah. No, it's probably them. That's like some actual sawing I'm here. I haven't been irritated, like, wanting to go be like, I need to talk to your manager. You know, you should give me notice before you do work like this, which they should. No. I just want to go up and help. Like, hey, can I give you a hand? Like, I don't want to do this full time, but I'm open to being paid to help out with this one gig. Like, I don't even want to do it part-time. I would be happy to be contracted on for this one job and then say, fuck you, see you never. Or thank you, see you never, as the case may be. Brewing pack. I know it's silent. What the fuck? Yeah, but like, how people who have so much money give so little comparatively, and you look at nonprofit industry figures and statistics into who does a lot of charitable giving in the United States, and it's mostly older people reaching the end of their life, trying to create some sort of legacy for themselves or their family, or people who are just trying to, you know, cut corners with, not corners, but take advantage of tax code breaks and tax breaks and stuff like that. But the lion's share of charitable giving that goes on in the United States, at least, and I don't know about overseas, is religious. And when I say religious, I mean particularly Christian. Like, religious organizations, particularly Christian organizations in the United States, have so much fucking money because of this idea of tithing, where all the members give 10% to the church because God said so, right? And look at that. Look at it. Sun. Yes, blinding sun. It doesn't look like the sun's hitting behind me, but it's right here. It's right here and it's gone. That 10%, it adds up. And it's so crazy that there's so many people, or it's ridiculous or noteworthy or asinine or frustrating even, that there's so many people who are adamantly against taxation I want small government. But then church tax, no problem, right? Like, this idea of, oh, well, you should give 10% to the church because the fucking Bible never says 10%, right? The whole 10% tithing thing, I don't know where it comes from. I think it's based off of a holdover from medieval times, or the 10% is a derivative from something in the Old Testament, which people took out of context and were like, oh, see, it should be 10%, 1 out of every 10. It's garbage. Like, tax systems back then didn't do what they did now, so if your church is actually, like, doing good for the community, then maybe it's alright, maybe it's permissible, but by and large, they don't. By and large, they waste that money, or they invest it in themselves, and it's a very self-sustaining organization. Like, oh, well, we gotta get a new fucking sound system so we can praise God. Ah, yeah, that's what God wants you to do with money. Yeah, not help people in your community who are without homes, without jobs, without shelter, without food. Don't make that your foremost, purpose. Don't go out and be fishers of men. Nah. Instead, get that bitchin' sound system and give everybody on the admin team a promotion, because that's what really matters. You know what? Let's set up a fucking television program where people are encouraged to give now because the Lord is yada yada. It's such a fucking scam. But particularly this has been on my mind because someone I know of, like a Twitter mutual, let's say, like someone I like but I don't really know, has been posting about like unexpected bills and how they're not going to be able to pay those bills at the end of the month. And I do mutual aid with people I know, right? There are so many people and scams on Twitter, being in very desperate situations, right? Where you can't help everyone. And, it would be a different story if I were employed, right? I would just knee-jerk give and feel good about it. But instead, I've been second-guessing the hell out of it because I have savings until the end of January, maybe February. And I could bail this person out. I can pay, like, the whatever amount they need by myself, and I'd be fine until the end of January. So I'd be giving up the February question mark to do so, and, I'm not that opposed to it. Because, I don't need it yet. But then that gets me irritated. It gets me really fucking frustrated thinking about this. Like, my willingness is like, yeah, I'll probably just end up doing that. I think I'll wait to see if other people give, and if they still need by, at the end of the week, I'll just fill in the remainder. Is the way I'm thinking about doing it. But it's made me think about the amount of times in my life, particularly this last year, where I was like, hey, people I don't know how I'm gonna pay for rent next month. And some people reached out, some people did, but it was always, and I don't mean to complain, but people gave hundreds or dozens of dollars, and it's super generous. But I know for a fact, a lot of these people are full-time employed, make as much as I used to or more, and here I am unemployed being like, yeah, I could pay somebody's rent for a month. It would mean that I could only pay rent for 2 more months, but I could do it, and I'm willing to do it for someone who's a, relative stranger. A, familiar stranger. It's made me kind of be shitty, how I've been thinking about it and be like, my support system kind of blows. Do people have my back? Doesn't feel like they do. Doesn't feel like it so much. Feels like, and you know, I talked about this day before yesterday when I did a Islanders Let's Talk stream or video or whatever the hell. Yeah, it feeds into the sense of I'm always willing to do so much for other people, but it feels like other people aren't willing to do much for me, and that's really frustrating, and it's not going to dissuade me from being kind to people. I'm not going to become embittered because of it, but it does hurt, and it does make me sad, right? Feeling like I'm not important enough, or like there have been times in my life where I've interpreted it as a personal failing, like I'm just not interesting enough or cool enough or important enough or hot enough or whatever enough. That's why so-and-so doesn't want to spend time with me or doesn't want to spend energy on me or yada 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 yada. And not really a condemnation so much of the other person. But you know, I don't mean to just keep harping on about this, but it kind of just keeps coming up. Kind of the reality was, I was around a lot of pretty selfish people. Not all of them, mind you, but like some of them in particular, deeply selfish, not narcissistic, but like very egocentric, very small world, very, you know, not clan, but maybe like clique kind of worldview. Yeah, I don't know. Some people, you know, it's worth repeating, have really done a lot for me, have really supported me, or have at least offered to in very significant ways. But yeah. So I don't know. I've been kind of going back and forth on. You know, I was raised, and I've talked about this a few times. I was raised particularly by my mom with a sense of fiscal responsibility. Right? Save, don't spend frivolously, invest, you know, all that jazz. And so much of that has just become deeply ingrained and integrated into just the way I think about money generally, that when I'm thinking about, you know, giving anything away, I have to balance it against that. And normally, that's not an issue. Normally, I'm like, yeah, I can afford this. Yeah, this is just like X, Y, or Z. And I'll total it up as being like, oh, it's like I spent money on this or that. This particularly is... I don't know. I think it says a lot about people, how much they're willing to share when they don't have much. But by the same token, it says a hell of a lot about people, how much they're willing to share when they do have a lot. Because, looking at you, Bezos and Elon and so many others, you're not really willing to give that much away, because money, for them, and for all of us, is power, control. And at a certain point, there seems to be a lack of willingness to part with that. Oh, sure, performative gestures or little displays of charity so that you get public support, or, you know, PR, basically. People like you or respect you or your brand does better. But it's the same kind of thing as... You know, at the end of noble feasts in the High Middle Ages, late and early late Middle Ages, early Middle Ages, I think, but you know, it's not not as well documented. At the end of noble feasts, what would happen, oftentimes, is that leftovers would be given out to the people around the palace. Quite noteworthy is French rulers did this for quite some time. And it kind of became a custom. Like, these grand feasts that were put on at Versailles, for example, very little of it was actually eaten by the king. After he ate, then the courtiers could eat, and after they ate, then the servants could eat, and after the servants ate, then it was given out to the people. That's kind of what the sort of charitable giving from modern capitalists feels like. That's Reaganomics, right? That's trickle-down economics. That's all it is. It's nothing new, and it's so undignified and disgusting and just kind of abhorrent that it's held to be. Charity is a virtue, right? And that so often people who have the means to give millions, the means to give billions, when they give thousands or tens or hundreds of thousands, it's remarked as being amazing or, you know, commendable, or, you know, you're such an amazing person. But no, they're fucking not. If their net worth is damn near $1 trillion, they're a bad person. Because that amount of capital, that amount of control, that amount of investment could and should be used to benefit millions of people. Millions of people, easily. And yet, just having it solely up to the whim of one person, if hundreds or thousands of people should be able to pay rent, that's absurd. That's just absurd. Like, I'm so frustrated by this idea of performative charity that I get mad, like, when thinking about supporting this person who needs support. I'm like, do I just do it anonymously? Because if I do it anonymously, then they won't feel beholden to me in any way, and I don't want that to be like some weird thing, like you have to interact with me because I helped you, or feeling like you owe me one. I don't want the other person to get that feeling. You know? So I don't know. Been bouncing around in my head today. And yesterday. A little bit. Actually, it's been, like, popping in and out of my head for what is probably been a week now. I don't really keep tight track of time these days. Lumber pack would do well in here. Brick industry I can put around the edges. It won't eat into the middle. So I kind of like that. Yeah, but like, I don't know. Been thinking about that. I've been thinking about body modification quite a lot today, like tattoos and like physical augments and chemical augments, hormonal augments, like how people try to self-actualize an internalized vision of self and version of self, and it feels like it's becoming more normalized, both with respect to, you know, trans folks, but also just generally. But I'm not sure if that's true. You know, it's a feeling, and that feeling is bolstered by my exposure to particularly trans folks and queer circles that I kind of prefer to be in online spaces. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell from the inside what's going on society-wide, like on a macro scale, when you are trapped on a micro scale. You know, we live on a micro scale, we are part of that micro scale, and you don't ever really get out of that. That's, you know, that's just life. And like the methodology that people employ to try to mitigate that bias or offset that bias or, you know, whatever else can be really impressive, like through surveys or having multiple studies, by having people of different social strata and identities and in different geographical locations weigh in on it. So just kind of having a feeling that the times they are changing. It's not very scientific. But I've just kind of been, I don't know, it feels more normal. More normalized than it used to. Then again, you look at coverage of trans folks and trans health in the news, and no, people are still very othered. People are still very prejudiced against. And the language and undue familiarity with which talking heads will engage with trans people about their personal journey as far as gender goes, as far as like body modification or transition goes. You don't walk up to, you know, a cis male and ask him if he's circumcised, right? Then why the fuck would you ever think it's okay in that same sort of social norm, right? Why would it ever be okay to walk up to a trans woman and ask her what's in her pants? Never. Like, especially, never. Especially in a public forum, right? Like, in a talk show or the news, you would expect. People don't even fucking cuss on those, or they stray away from gauche topics, right? But they'll hop right into, hey, your privacy means nothing to me. Your body is a subject of popular discussion, so I'm just gonna pretend like you owe me an explanation for something that's none of my fucking business. It's so fucking weird. It's so fucking weird. When is it your business what somebody else has in their pants? When they decide it's your business. And you're interested, right? Like, that's it. That's it. That's the only time you get to know. It's for them to disclose when they fucking feel like it. It's not... These fucking boomers, man. And that's unfair, because they're older trans folks, and there always have been, but this heteronormative, ciscentric, social order and social values that we have, and normative values, right? Like, normalization of those things and centering those things has created some real monstrous fucking people. I don't feel like that's a contentious. Contentious? Where were you going with that, Alex? Contentious? Were you going with quit there? Like, no, contentious is what I meant to say. I don't feel like that's a very contentious thing to say. You know, that... the generations before us have handed down a culture and traditions and values that are antithetical and oftentimes anathema to the well-being of people, identities, cultures, and values that it considers to be other. And it's not alone or particularly it's not alone in that. And there are remarkable instances, obviously, which were perhaps more exceptional in that regard, or more drastic in that regard, but that's not an excuse. That doesn't give you permission to be shitty that other people have been shittier in the past, right? Which is something that Americans, particularly older Americans, seem to profoundly not understand. Well, it could be a lot worse. That's no reason why it shouldn't be better. That's no reason to excuse you saying racist or transphobic or bigoted, ignorant things. Just because this straw man is or was worse does not justify you not being better. Yeah, I don't know. All I want is to be living in a... Not all I want. I want to live in a post-static form world, which is to say, I want to live in a world where on a whim, and, maybe with counseling, you can undergo journeys of significant body modification as a normalized thing that won't fucking destroy you financially, which is not how it operates now. My god, some days I just want to be a fucking robot. I just want to be a goddamn android and be able to, or a synth, really, and be able to just adjust my appearance incrementally. It's like, dude, so much of my body sucks. I am so much not a fan of a lot of my body. Well, Alex, you gotta work on your relationship with your body. You gotta learn to love it. No, I fucking don't. I don't need to learn to love being, like, visually impaired. Fuck that! I want to not be visually impaired. I don't need to learn to love having, like, hair growth I can't control. No, I don't. I don't need to learn to love flaws and faults and difficulties and frustrations with my body. Just like, no one does. No one does. Your insecurities have validity. Now, the way you approach and respond to those insecurities, that dysphoria, that whatever, now that's important. Self-harm is never, ever, ever the right way to go about things. Not through direct means, not through neglect, not through indirect means, not through any means. But let people feel bad. Let people feel bad. If something feels bad, don't say, oh, we gotta get you in therapy so you don't feel bad. No, we gotta get you in therapy to help you figure out what you want to do about this to feel good. It's not how it is treated. So often therapy is treated as you go there to stop caring about a thing, or you go there to just be miraculously cured. Well, for me, I'd rather go and instead make a game plan about what we can actually do about it, rather than, don't worry about it. And, the don't worry about it is not how it goes. It's not really often that dismissive, though there are some very, very bad mental health providers out there. Like that fucking lady last week who made a TikTok about patients trauma dumping on her. Lady, I deleted her TikTok page because she was being bullied. You aren't being bullied. You're a healthcare provider who shouldn't be a healthcare provider. It's not trauma dumping if that's your professional relationship with these people. That is your fucking job, to do emotional labor with these people. Not just... It's trauma dumping when it's unprompted, you don't consent, it's not the social contract of what you were doing in that specific circumstance. But in that specific circumstance, they're following the expected norm, and in fact the contractual norm that you both have agreed to. Unless, you know, she has some very weird specific contracts about how she wants her patients to, her clients, to engage with sharing trauma. And like, even the complaint that they're dumping a lot of trauma and it's a lot to deal with, or it's exhausting, that's valid, dude. That's okay. You don't make a fucking TikTok about that. You talk to your own therapist about that. And yes, many, if not most, therapists have therapists because you need to. If you are taking on that kind of work, if you are engaging in that kind of mental health care, then you gotta take care of yourself before you can help others. You know, the stupid affix your oxygen mask before you help the person next to you. That's how it works. So if it were like an admission on her part that she needed help or she was having a hard time, it wouldn't be that bad. But still, this resentment she expressed, and people being hurt and expressing that hurt, people being desperate and expressing that desperation, people being sad or unhappy and expressing that unhappiness, and her reaction to it being disdain, is, I think, not unremarkable. Not, well, okay, obviously it's not unremarkable. It's not uncharacteristic of our shared social values. And that bothers me. That bothers me a lot. What a sad life it would be to never feel anything but happiness. What a bleak existence to live in complete euphoria. What existential horror to imagine a world unpainted by the shades of the vast ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys of the robust human emotional experience. What horror? And yet, feelings that are considered unproductive, unconstructive, antisocial, well, we just can't have those. Those you need to rid yourself of. Those you need to cleanse from who you are and how you act. Those aren't allowed. These pieces of humanity are not to be understood and addressed systemically or broadly or even individually in a way that you can evolve them and incorporate them healthily into your life. Nah. Get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Just don't ever feel bad. Just get medicated as hell. And don't feel bad. Just smile, forehead. I hate people. I don't. I don't. But people can be absolutely exhausted. Absolutely exhausted. We have so much and we give so little. We're all so damn tired and afraid all the fucking time. I don't understand why it's such a bad thing to admit that you're scared, or lonely, or frightened, or struggling. I don't know why people are thought of as lesser or looked down upon because they express and share their needs. Why is it still such a normalized thing to suffer quietly, to live quietly, to die quietly? To make as little bit of a negative, or not even negative, but just like disruptive impact at all. Fuck pleasantries. I want real from people. My respect for people is so much higher when they just tell the fucking truth. Even if it's an unpleasant truth, especially if it's an unpleasant truth. If I know that somebody and I don't agree on something, I can work with that. If I know that somebody and I don't get along, I can work with that. But if I don't know that we don't get along, or that somebody doesn't like me, but they act as non-confrontationally as possible, well, then we can't really fucking do anything about that, huh? Like, we can't address this, we can't mediate it, we can't mitigate it, we're just kind of fucking stuck with it. Because you're being too goddamn polite about it. So, the discomfort at that point is kind of being perpetuated by the person uncomfortable. And, you know, I've been a person who is uncomfortable being around certain people but doesn't want to make a scene around it, or uncomfortable around specific people but doesn't want to make a scene about it. I get it. But it's also like, I don't like when I do that. I'm frustrated when I realize that I've done that, or I am doing it, and it's something I'm trying to not do. Oh. Yeah, this is probably it. I don't think we're going to the next island. I don't need to really unload. But there's not that much I want to talk about. I'm doing okay. We're doing okay. I'd like to, like, I'm very much in a place where I would love to be going on dates with people, but I fucking hate online dating to the point where, like, it's such a fucking turn off. If I'm excited and, like, feeling optimistic or good or interested, getting on a dating app is a very quick way to turn me off. Is a very quick way to get me just being like, you know what? Nah, things are fine. I don't need to change this. Like, I forgot how much this just fucking blows. And I don't want to do it. So, meh. Yeah. Nah, just kick the ball down the road. Cause, like, it's not urgent. I'm not... I don't feel like... When I was younger, I did often feel like, oh, you know, I'm a failure, or this reflects on me that I'm alone, I feel bad about it or embarrassed about it. Like, oh, I'm X years old and I'm not doing whatever. But now I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, it's such a poor reflection of a person if they are dating someone or hooking up with people or not. Like, it means nothing. It means nothing. And I think earlier, a lot of it was centered around this kind of homogenous worldview, or, you know, societal inclination in the United States, at least, and broadly, probably in the West, to think in terms, and I'm saying the West because, you know, that is what I'm familiar with, and I don't want to make more sweeping statements. You know, this idea of having kids, childrearing. I don't want to have kids. I don't. I think, you know, I've talked about this before. It would be kind of academically interesting to see what kind of, you know, offspring I could create, but this world sucks, and it feels like a criminal offense bringing life into it. If my outlook on the future is like, looks a little bit apocalyptic, I don't want to create life to suffer through things that I'm not going to be around for. I don't feel equipped to change these existential or thwart these existential threats that one of my kids would face. So I don't know, like, it feels very unappealing in that sense. And that's sad. You know, it is quite sad, but I don't really know if there's much I can do about that. I could be convinced, probably, if I were with the right person and in the right financial circumstance to change my tune on that. I almost certainly would change my mind, but as is, like, I don't want to have kids. So there's no real, like, biological clock, and people born with my genitals stay fertile for a very long time anyway, which is weird. Like, even if I couldn't have a kid, or never have a kid, I always adopt if I really want that parenting thing, and I'm pretty sure that I don't. So, like, what's the fucking rush? What's the rush? Oh, you're getting older. People won't like you when you're older. See, the funny thing is, people my age are just getting older with me. It's kind of how that works, and, like, I don't care. Everybody dies alone. It's not like being married or being in a relationship opts you out of dying alone. You're still gonna die alone. There's still nothing when you die. It's still cold, black death, and silence. It's null. It's nihilist. It's nothing. And I think there's some comfort having, you know, loved ones around when you do shove off this mortal coil. Absolutely, absolutely, and there's value to that, but, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm more interested in having fun and helping people around me and enjoying my time and my freedom than being saddled with responsibility that I'm not sure I could actually properly meet. Also, like, the world's not doing so hot. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame that, like, ironically, dating sites and dating culture are enough of a turnoff to keep me uninterested. But they more than certainly are. All right, we take the L here. We take the L because there's no way this goes positive, right? I think there was a place where it gave like 5 or some shit, but we just take the L. We take the L because I kind of wanted to end, and I think I self-sabotaged with this build a little bit. It's all too centralized, and putting all your eggs in one basket will almost inadvertently run you into trouble here. Yeah, we dropped that. Yeah, it's not quite an hour, but... Wow. Oh my god, that score is worse than yesterday. Quite a bit worse than yesterday, in fact. Come on, Alex. No, it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. That's fine. But yeah, I'm fine, man. It's stormy, and it's rainy, and it's beautiful, and I'm financially stable, at least for the next few months. And the job market needs workers, so it feels like I can take my time with that. I'm pretty okay. I'm a little bored. And I'd like it to be easier to date like, go out and talk with people and meet people. The whole mask thing kind of sucks. And just the COVID anxiety thing still sucks. And, like, the fact that are 2,000 people still dying a day? I haven't looked at this in a few weeks. COVID statistics. In the United States. Now, show all. United States. Cases are 70,000 is the 7-day average, though yesterday had 100,000 new cases. Yeah, 7-day average is going to be low right now because it's early on in the week anyway. That's, what are we at? Yeah, still around 1.5k to 2k dying per day. So, there's that going on that makes me not really a big fan of going out in public, too. Like, not that I personally feel at risk. It's fucking weird, dude. It's real goddamn weird. Small problems in the larger scope of things, right? Like, Christ, things could be so much worse for me. So I'm incredibly grateful to be doing as all right as I am. Though I would like more to do. In a very vague way. Well, we're gonna wrap up Islanders for now. If you're watching this on YouTube, till tomorrow or whenever, I'm gonna say toodaloo. Take care. See you then. Bye bye. Oh, and the hotkey. The hotkey. Oh, we don't work. No, we don't work for Alex. We don't like Alex.